Sigewinne is releasing in Fallout 7, and the reception to her kit has not been the best. A lot of people have been claiming that it is siege over. However, I disagree. To give a very quick rundown of her kit for anyone who hasn't seen it, a charge attack is useless. Her skill summons a bubble that attacks enemies, heals allies, and has bad Hydra application. Her burst is mini nerve charge attack. Her A1 buffs outfield character skill damage, and her A4 buffs her healing based on the party's bond of life. First, to understand why people are doom posting, let's start by considering the flaws. She has very bad Hydra application, and likely won't even be able to sustain freeze. Her skill damage is quite low, and her burst takes up a solid amount of field time, meaning it can't be used in every rotation. These are all flaws that definitely hurt her team building. However, she does have one specific benefit that makes her really good with Frida, and thus opens up her team building quite a lot within her niches. That being her party-wide healing that requires no on-field time. So, I want to give some examples of teams that she can be running, where she will provide a lot over other options to hopefully show you all that it is not siege over. Let's start with Mono Hydra. Sigewinne provides a pretty significant amount of outfield healing, meaning you can run characters like Ayato without having to choose between Farina or grouping. An example of a team you could use would be Ayato, Farina, Sigewinne, and Kazuha. The rotation would be Farina EQ, Ayato Q, Kazuha E, Sigewinne skill into burst, followed by Ayato E. Personally, I believe Ayato would be the best option for Mono Hydra teams, due to having off-field and on-field damage, as well as a short on-field time enabling Sigewinne to get a full burst. There are also many other characters who she can work with in Mono Hydra teams. To list them all, and a few of their strengths and weaknesses, Tartaglia has a good amount of damage and does most of his damage front-loaded, and he has a short on-field time, meaning he can allow Sigewinne to get a burst off in their rotations. Mona can buff Farina's damage and provide a decent amount of DPS. She also has short on-field time, and thus you can use Sigewinne's burst in other rotations. Hydra Traveler will finally have a Mono Hydra team that he can be used in. Will it be great? No. Will it make his burst actually useful? No. Will it be a team of his that feels good? Yes. Plus, like the previously mentioned characters, he has a short on-field time, allowing Sigewinne to burst in the rotation. Candice is a decent option for these teams. Her main issue is she just doesn't have great multipliers, but hey, it's an option for you Candice mates and fans alike. Nilo Mono Hydra is definitely a meme team, but it'd work and feel pretty solid, but she might not allow Sigewinne to burst in some rotations. Novelet can use her to have a Mono Hydra team. Will Newbie want to be played in a Mono Hydra team over basically any other team? No, but hey, it's an option, and not every option needs to be the best. And besides, Newbie and Farina's damage is good enough to where it'll still feel good. Now that was a lot, so let's discuss a more simple one with double Anemo teams. In this archetype, Sigewinne does face some competition, mainly from Shan Yun and Jean. However, I do believe there are a fair amount of teams where Sigewinne can outperform the Anemo options. An example would be Wanderer teams, with Farina, Sigewinne, and Farazan. In this team, Sigewinne helps Farina out a lot by providing a lot of stacks, as well as a DPS increase thanks to reducing her ER needs and increasing her HP with Hydra Resonance. Another example of a team where Sigewinne has potential to be an improvement would be with a Farazan carry team. An example being Farazan, Sigewinne, Farina, Kazuha, where you build your Anemo units for DPS and use Farazan on field for charge attacks, which, with a C1, do a pretty good chunk of damage. In both of the teams I mentioned, you don't really get a good opportunity to use Sigewinne's burst, but in this case it's not as much of an issue, as the alternative party-wide healers generally don't provide much of a DPS increase to these teams, so even just the buff she provides to Farina make her an excellent support in these teams. There are also other characters like Heizo or Lynette who can work well in this archetype, but in the interest of not repeating myself too much, I shall leave them out. Now, there's only one more archetype I have left to talk about, and it is where I believe Sigewinne will be at her best. For this archetype, it is best not to think of Sigewinne as a Hydra unit, but as a Geo unit instead. Sigewinne finally provides a good option for Geo teams to slot in a party-wide heal, which opens up many synergies with Farina and other Geo units. I'd like to start by giving the example of Sigewinne's most meta team, Navia Double Hydro. The example team here is Farina, Sigewinne, Navia, and Chiori. To give an example rotation, you'd use Farina's skill into burst, Navia's burst, Chiori's double E, Sigewinne tap E, Navia hold E, and then you can either continue using Navia's N4, or you can use Sigewinne's Q. After which you'll go back to Navia, use her E, and then do another N4 to close the rotation. In this team, you get all the benefits of Farina on to all 4 units, thanks to Sigewinne's unique set of strings. Also, Sigewinne's A1 passive will help Shiori's damage a bit, as well as potentially Navia's, depending on how it works, as the wording is slightly ambiguous. This will, in my opinion, be Navia's best team with Furina, or at the very least her most comfortable, and whilst it does require 2 specific 5 stars, the 5 slot is a little more flexible as you can fit in characters like Zhongli, Albedo, or even Geo MC, without it being at to cost up to too much of your damage. Another notable Geo character who benefits from Sigewinne's inclusion is Ito. If, like me, your Ito Mono Geo team still feels like shit because despite pulling on multiple banners with Garu, you still only have C2, you'll be glad to know that with Furina you'll finally have an Ito team that feels pretty good. The team would be Furina, Sigewinne, and Ito, the final slot being taken up by Albedo, Chiori, Zhongli, or even some other characters like Traveler or Goro. This would finally be a team that allows Ito to work with Furina without having a character who feels really out of place like Mika. Like with the other team, the best thing about Sigewinne over those other healers is her ability to activate Hydra Resonance and help with Furina's ER needs. There is one more important Geo character who benefits a lot from having these double Geo, double Hydra teams, and that is Ningguang. The general team building is the exact same as with Navia, but compared to Ito, she has 2 big strengths in being used in this team. For one, Sigewinne can afford to burst in the team due to Ningguang's damage being quite front-loaded, especially at C6. The other advantage is just simply that she's a 4-star and thus more accessible. Her team's damage definitely won't compare to the Navia teams and will probably be a bit worse than the Ito teams, but she'll still have great synergy with Sigewinne, and this will likely be one of her best teams. Overall, I hope that this video has shown to you all that it is not Siege over. She may not be the most super meta-defining character, but she still has a place and a clearly defined niche where currently she is the best in slot compared to other Hydra healers. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe, and if you have your own suggestions for teams where Sigewinne could be used, please feel free to leave them in the comments, and I shall be sure to read. Have a good day.